This is a night that it's good to have you. I feel safer with so many lawyers here. Maya, Roger Stone has every right to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Us lawyers, more so perhaps than other people in other professions, respect that and don't infer too much from that alone. But what do you infer from that, plus what else we know about Mr. Stone?
Well, what I infer is a little too late. I mean, Roger Stone has already made so many public statements that are inconsistent one to the other, from, for example, saying he had contact directly with Julian Assange, and then saying he didn't have any contact with Julian Assange. He has made those inconsistent statements publicly. According to Adam Schiff, he has seen inconsistencies in the testimony given to Congress from what appears to be public statements. We don't know all of what that is, but we certainly know that the existence of emails between Roger Stone and Jerome Corsi are among the things that he thinks in and of themselves demonstrates that he was not truthful. So I would say that Roger Stone did a whole lot of talking, and there are a whole lot of documents already in the possession of Congress and probably Robert Mueller. So it's a little late.
You mentioned Mr. Corsi. He publicly admitted that he helped Roger Stone lie to Congress, the very thing Michael Cohen just admitted to, if anyone needs a reminder that it's a felony. Nick, I want to play for you that because it was an exchange that was a little elusive, as he admitted to telling the truth about lies, but he did get there and admit it. Take a look. How did they react to this other defense that you made on behalf of Roger Stone, which is you agreed to help Roger mislead Congress about how he found out about Podesta?
Well, see, in fact, that was the first. There's two rounds of this that I went through. Round one, I openly discussed that with him and admitted it all because it was true. I was telling him the truth.
You were telling him the truth about a lie?
No. Well, okay, so yes.
Yes.
I mean, he's a liar. I mean, you know it because he wound up destroying all of his emails.
Mr. Corsi.
Mr. Corsi, when he was called before the Senate committee, rather than prepare to tell the truth, rather than go through the emails and give them to the Senate committee, he sat there and he destroyed them. He destroyed the ones that came out last week that basically put him in the soup with Roger Stone and incriminates him with Roger Stone and Julian Assange. And he continued to lie. But the fact that he destroyed those emails in and of itself shows that there's no way when he spoke to the Mueller group that he forgot what happened. You don't forget something that you would destroy emails on your computer. It means you not only deleted them, but you went into the deletion box and then permanently destroyed them.
Unless, Nick, to be fair, unless you're so good at cover-ups, you've covered it up from yourself.
Well, that could be, but that's the same as lying so that you can lie to somebody else.
Well, there
so
are
you can tell the truth about lying.
There are people, John, who say some of the biggest lies we humans tell are the lies we tell ourselves. But those are not perjurous.
Yes.
They just might get in the way of living a full life.
Yeah, I think that he wanted us to believe his lie, but he's a clumsy liar.
Mr. Corsi.
Yes, and also destroying emails when they appear every other place is not a great approach.
Let me direct your attention back to the breaking news of Roger Stone pleading the Fifth.
Yes.
And again, I say this seriously, that I don't infer too much from that.
Right.
But what do you think it means when someone does testify to Congress, doesn't invoke the Fifth, says things that now have been busted by his own associates? I'm not talking about journalists. Right. I'm not talking about critics. I'm not talking about the resistance. I'm talking about Jerome Corsi says, oh, yeah, I helped Roger lie to Congress. And now tonight we get this news that Roger says he won't go to Congress the day after Donald Trump gave him a shout-out, a gutsy shout-out for not testifying.
Roger Stone, for all the mileage he has in being a political operator, I think overthinks this. And I think he's saying to himself, well, I won't tell Congress because that would be a lie they could prosecute me for, but I'll go on TV and I'll say lies there and I'll be okay, which is a wrong strategy for a couple of reasons. One, he's told so many different stories. He's surrounded by contradiction by other reliable witnesses. Corsi may find himself as a forced witness at some point or other, coerced to testify after he is or isn't prosecuted. This is a gang of hapless thieves that have no idea how to defend themselves. And it's a problem with any public figure. They always think that they can talk their way out of it, and they make the first mistake. They give links and clues and stuff to people that no one would know about but for them talking.
Well, you're speaking to something that I think all of us have seen in various ways in legal situations, Nick, which is there are people who are dumb and they think they're smarter than they are, but there are also people who are pretty smart. Who
that's
still
right.
think they're smarter than they are.
What happened during the Watergate scandal? Every one of the main people around Nixon went into the grand jury, and they all testified. I mean, there's a different dynamic going on in a case like this because it's a political case. And so if they go in and they tell the truth, they're toast. That's the end of their political career.
Right.
The whole thing goes down the tube. If they go in and lie, at least they think in their own minds, well, at least we've stopped the damage. It's a whole
and they think they
different-
can walk away from it. Let me play, because you bring it up. Here was, on Sunday, Roger Stone speaking in another television interview. Take a look.
There's no circumstance under which I would testify against the president because I'd have to bear false witness against him. I'd have to make things up, and I'm not going to do that.
On the narrow question, is that true, or could he testify accurately and defend the president?
Oh, he can't testify accurately. I mean, he is right in the middle of the soup here. He is the person that is the link between the Russians, between Assange, and Donald Trump. He's the guy that left the campaign in late 2015, supposedly fired under that pretext so he could go out and have the plausible deniability of doing his usual dirty tricks routine for Donald Trump and then come back.
You're alleging his firing was a subterfuge for a planned
total
WikiLeaks collaboration. But
subterfuge.
do you have specific evidence of that?
Well, we know that he was talking to Donald Trump after he was fired. How many times is
But you don't
somebody
know.
fired?
I mean, you don't know. There was a lot of beef. Again, just to be clear about the history, there was a lot of beef between a lot of different Trump aides for a lot of stuff that had nothing to do with WikiLeaks.
Yeah, but for all the beef, he continued to talk to Donald Trump. I mean, that relationship continued straight through. And then what was he doing during that period of time, talking to Guccifer 2.0?
Right. No, that part, I'm just speaking specifically to what you said about his departure.
Right.
Maya, this, of course, raises another question we often ask in Brooklyn, which is, what's beef?
There's so much beef. So let me just go back to a couple points that I think are important. One is Roger Stone is an influence peddler and sells influence peddling. So even if he was honestly and legitimately terminated from the campaign, he would have lots of interest in maintaining his relationship with Donald Trump. Donald Trump will use anybody who will allow him to. So I don't know if Nick is right or wrong. I'm just saying there are multiple ways of looking at it. I do think if you take Roger Stone at his word that he could, which I wouldn't do generally, that he could not testify without bearing false witness against Trump, that means that he has knowledge and information that would connect Trump to possible Russian collusion.
This is important. I want you and then Nick on this point, because you're quoting Mr. Stone, and this is a matter of hot debate, and obviously the Mueller people are thinking about it. He says, I'd have to bear false witness, those words, against Trump. What I take him to allege is that the Mueller folks are demanding answers, and if they don't get the answers they want that are negative about their targets, they put on more pressure. And this has been a right-wing talking point. You're saying it in a different way.
I am. Because what I am saying is, if you cannot answer that question, right? So, look, what we know right now is that he has lied. What the truth is will be uncovered, but that he has lied. He has told inconsistent statements about communications he's had around emails, right, around WikiLeaks. That in and of itself does not directly connect Donald Trump to Russian collusion, right? As far, we all think that there's probably more information and evidence there, but just alone. So unless he is put in a position where he is told that he has to give false evidence, right? So because that false evidence has to go to what Trump knew about emails, and now he's taking the fifth. So he can say talking point, but we know the way that this really works. Robert Mueller's job is to uncover the truth and the evidence and where the evidence leads him.
And not just to catch someone.
And not just to
Nick?
catch someone.
No, I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, Roger Stone has been a serial liar since the day I met him in 1973 and questioned him in my office.
You did interrogate him in the
during
Watergate probe. People forget that.
That's right. And he has not changed one iota. His demeanor, his way of answering questions, his total lack of candor is absolutely the same.
And constructing false stories, because
Right.
he has
Exactly.
a history of constructing.
And
he brags
2017,
about that.
2017 wasn't that long ago, but it was long enough ago that I was able to interview you and Roger together.
That's right.
And although Roger has not responded to our recent invites, the invite remains open for him to come on one-on-one or come on with you again, as he did then in those long ago days before the Mueller probe had begun.
And I might say, what he did afterwards, I don't know if I ever told you this, but he actually came up to me after that interview and said, we should go into business together and do talks around the country and charge money to people so they can hear us debate.
He said that to you?
Yeah. And I said,
and what did you say to him?
I said, are you crazy? No way. I mean, this is a guy who you would not trust with anything for a second.
So you wouldn't go into business with Roger Stone?
I would never go into
Well, that's another headline today.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I think Roger Stone wanted to get the old gang together with Manafort, and he had access because of that. And these two guys hoped they'd repair whatever their reputation and standing was in the world.
Certainly. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.